Well, to talk about all of this and get in some more perspective, Parvez Damania, aviation expert, is joining us. Ajay Avtani, editor of Live from Lounge.com, and Amit Singh, founder, Safety Matters NGO, and former head airline ops and safety. All three of you, thank you so much for joining us. Here, just in the past few weeks, we've seen multiple instances coming in of, where safety of passengers has been compromised, where the kind of, for example, yesterday, SpiceJet, there was a malware attack. And those sort of instances. Earlier also, there have been several reasons as to why passengers have been left in the lurch as well. The DGCA has now gone ahead and said that airlines need to ensure that they don't sell unserviceable seats because it compromises the safety of passengers. Do you think that this kind of pressure is building more and more on the airlines to maintain the level of service and offset the costs at the same time?
A good example is Indigo, wherein the culture and the standards are such that they haven't compromised in terms of cabin appearance or the aircraft as such, even though they haven't made profits or in losses, but that is one thing they have tried to maintain. That is a brand. So it depends on the airline culture. What the regulator can do is only with respect to the airworthiness aspects. Whether the seat is reclining or not reclining, it can be locked in the upright position. That is where the regulator comes in. So if it is reclined in the upright position, you can still sell it. But from the service point of view, it is not a good idea for over 3 or 4 hours to sit in an upright position. So that is what the airline has to look at it. Are you willing to sell that seat, or are you willing to keep that seat vacant and lose that revenue? So that is the airline part of it. How do you control the price of the airfares? Well, there has to be transparency, and the people need to be informed about the pricing of the tickets. So as per the aircraft rules, 1937 DGCA has mandated in Rule 135 that all airlines need to publish their tariffs, the fares, in either two leading newspapers or on the website. So if you look through the website and search for tariffs, you will find the published tariffs. That will be broken down into 13 different fares, the maximum and the minimum. So that is what DGCA is monitoring and controlling. But daily spikes in the fare, where they jump up to beyond 40,000 or close to 50,000 on short sectors, that is kind of predatory pricing, which I think DGCA is not able to manage, control, or lagging behind in the real-time monitoring. So they're only monitoring the published fares. And if they find a fare which is beyond reasonable limits, so what is their authority is to ensure that reasonable profits are earned by the airlines. Now, if you go for the definition of reasonable profits, simply speaking, it is what the capital input is there and what are the returns. So if the fares are going high on account of fuel, obviously the airlines are looking for more returns, higher returns, and they have to increase the prices of the fares. So it is kind of not a transparent system how things work, and that is the general complaint from the passengers' point of view. From the safety angle, there is a regulation in the DGCA for airlines with weak financial results. So not making losses, but consistently, if you're making losses, then DGCA has to step in and check if safety standards are being compromised or not in terms of training of crew, maintenance aspects, which are the most important two things in terms of assuring safety. So again, for the past few years, we've seen SpiceJet compromising in a number of places, but the regulatory oversight is not as strong or robust to preempt or prevent safety issues. The head of operations of SpiceJet is under the scanner, the head of training is under the scanner, the head of safety is under the scanner. So what has the DGCA done about it? In the previous audits, the whole safety management system, the crew scheduling, so there have been n number of issues and major issues with that particular airline. So the regulator has to lead by example that this is acceptable or not acceptable. So that has to be defined very clearly for other airlines too, and the passengers for their confidence.
Yes, yes, absolutely. With your, perspective on the entry of these two airlines and what it might do in terms of the industry in India.
Well, it can be seen as an opportunity. If we look at the training aspect alone, training of pilots and training of personnel, in India, aviation is not institutionalized. We do not have institutions of the caliber of what we have abroad. So, for the projected 900 aircrafts entering in the next 10 years, the entire expenditure would be close to about 1.5, $1.6 billion from ab initio training of pilots, recurrent training, command upgrades, and all other personnel. And 60% of this will be sent outside to other institutions, which is a big forex drain. So we need to develop infrastructure for training in India. And with so many airlines, we can have a mega training infrastructure which can cater for the entire subcontinent or beyond. So we still haven't looked at this. We are only looking at piecemeal growth and looking at outsourcing everything. So why not develop when maximum expansion has to happen in India? The infrastructure has to develop in India. We should have Indian training systems rather than picking up off the shelf from the West. So our Vedic style of training is more superior, and the West is coming back to it. Even Airbus is coming back to personalized training. So the way we used to train in Gurukul, so that Nidhi Dhyasan style of training is what is required and the need of the hour, even for safety, because EASA, the European regulator, has made a safety case that 70% of the pilots undergoing type rating do not have conceptual understanding of the subject. That is why we are having so many incidents. So our style of training is much superior, but we are, for some reason, looking west rather than looking east or looking within. So that needs to be done. All the airlines need to come together and under the ministry, under the umbrella, and build a mega infrastructure for that.
Right. Fair enough. In fact, some important points that you've raised as well. But I'm afraid we're out of time. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us with your perspective on this.